Hello and good evening, everyone. We've got some technical difficulties just rearing their ugly heads all over the place. And Ian, I think you're here. Uh, I guess it's kind of emblematic in the way in which the Sharks, kind of just fell apart, and we're kind of falling apart right now. And what did you make from that game? I don't know. It was sloppy, and it was just a game in which you think that the Sharks are gonna pull it out. They've got two leads and piss it away.
Yeah, I mean they were the better team for the vast I don't say the vast majority, but for a lot of that game, for the better parts of two periods, they were the better team. They were out shooting Columbus. I thought they're significantly outplaying Columbus. Um, and then it kind of just all fell apart in the third. And you got a decent amount of offense out of a team that's been absolutely anemic offensively lately, but just not enough, unfortunately, to put the Blue Jackets away.
Yeah, and the other thing too is it just seemed like I, I guess what I was most disheartened was how the defense, especially from the offensive side of the puck, was playing this evening. You got those two goals from guys that really needed it in both Karlsson and with Burns, and
Mhm.
you're not able to continue that good feeling, and it's kind of like a wasted effort in some respects.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's if you're looking for some positives to take, I think getting Hertl back on the board, important. Getting Burns back on the board, important. Um, I think the problem is though is like what happened. When did Hertl get the offense back? It's like, if Couture and Hertl have to fight over Dahlin and if they have to fight over Dahlin and Meyer over, that's who's going to get the offense. I think the Sharks are going to be in for a little bit of trouble there because I think, I don't think it's weird. It's not weird at all, right? That they put Dahlin and Meyer with Hertl and suddenly Hertl gets back on the board.
Right, right. And I think that just kind of goes to show you that maybe Barabanov is a little miscast right now in the
I
position he's in.
I think Barabanov's been okay. I've been more concerned with Balsers over Barabanov. I still like Barabanov's game. I just feel like, and I like Balsers too, and I keep saying this, like I like Rudy Balsers a lot, but I just feel like he's not, he's had so many chances and just hasn't finished.
Right, right. And I think at this point, you're kind of you've got to just make the decision on him, kind of, right? I mean, right now we're, I don't know, kind of in this limbo of, okay, are you going to wake up or you're not? Are you going to start driving play on your line, or are you just going to kind of be a passenger? And right now, he hasn't really shown me much more than just being a guy that can whiff, you know?
Yeah.
And it sucks because there are flat, like, he's in the right spaces. It seems like
Hmm.
he's in the correct positions, but it seems like it's maybe where his hands are at, or the positioning of his stick, or just being a little less physical on a play than he, going into a play and being a little soft on it instead of
Hmm.
kind of protecting on the boards and stuff. That's the thing that I've noticed with Balsers is, in and around the boards he's just very weak. He gets his
Yeah.
pocket picked a lot.
Yeah. And Balsers didn't play tonight. I thought Noah Gregor did decently in his stead.
Oh, I thought Noah Gregor played a great game tonight, and
Yeah.
and I thought that he was a bright spot on that line. And the thing is, it's just that Barabanov is Barabanov is the guy that I'm circling, and the reason why is I feel like he's inconsistent. Right, there will be flashes
Mhm.
of a good game from him where you'll have a kind of a puck possession, and you'll have shots on net, and see the flashes of a creative player. But then there are times where he just goes, like the previous game in New York, he was just completely defensively unresponsible. With
Yeah.
the major giveaways and especially with the lack of consistency from period 1 through period 3. And I think right now with Hertl being a guy that's still kind of slumping, he got the goal tonight. Good, thank goodness he got it. But with a guy that's kind of slumping, he needs consistent guys to kind of be in and around him. And I think at this point he's pressing, and I think we're seeing that in his line. Now, again, I think Gregor was a great breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see some more from that line, and I think that's something that we've all been kind of keying in on.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna have to get more offense consistently out of their top six. I mean that's where your goals are supposed to come from. They've gotten some help from the bottom six. Guys like Bonino have finally started to click a little bit. But I mean the top six you have to get more to your top six.
Yeah,
if you're gonna do anything, and so far they haven't.
Right. And okay, so let's quickly start off from the first period. For the Sharks, they seemed like they were playing a pretty good game. I think we both had mentioned there was quite a few shots on goal. It was 19-9 in favor of the Sharks, but we didn't get scoring until the very, very last 5 minutes of that first period. 16-16 in. Adam Boquist with 5th on the season. Danforth getting the assist there. This goal, kind of looking at it, I thought that the Sharks had just really done a good job of putting pressure, and then it was kind of one of those transitional type of goals. And honestly, I thought it's kind of one that you're going to give up, especially because you had already kind of pressed kind of far into the offensive zone. And now I'm kind of taking a look at it back. They're reversing it. They kind of get caught in their own zone a little bit, and then you just get a laser beam of the shot. It just pops right out into the circle.
Big shot, nice shot. Like, I was funny because last show I talked about how I don't really have a pinata on this team. And then Adin Hill kind of jumped out and said, I volunteer as tribute. Now, this goal I didn't really have a problem with. Unfortunately for Adin Hill, I felt like just the longer the game went, the more the wheels just fell off. And it was kind of like they kind of fell off in slow motion in this one. Because at this point, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, it's, do you probably want that back? Yeah, but am I super mad about it? No.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it wasn't the worst goal he gave up tonight.
All right. Well, that's definitely one way to put it. It wasn't the worst goal that he gave up tonight. We were kind of thinking, damn, the Sharks had really done a good job territorially in that first period. And, we kind of had that sour taste in our mouth. But then...
Yeah, after the first, before the Sharks scored that goal, I'm like, oh, they're going to get goal lead, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I think we all kind of had that feeling. And Nick Bonino, boy, he's just kind of flipped the light switch, hasn't he? It's just kind of, if it ain't raining, it's pouring, right? So for Nicky, it's his 4th on the season. Nieto and Cogliano getting the assists there. So really good to see the secondary scoring, really popping through and providing a big uplift. I thought kind of one of those momentum swing type of goals, and you thought, okay, you know what, the Sharks beat Elvis, and now you get some good mojo going into that second period, which we saw. I mean, in that second period, we saw Erik Karlsson just laser beam a shot, and guys, this is the guy we paid for. Right. I mean, this is that's really good to see. What did you see from that goal and Barabanov getting the assist there?
Barabanov, nice feed. I like the way he kind of drove on the boards and then kind of pulled back and fed it over to Karlsson again. Like Karlsson, I thought had a good game again. This is him and Middleton have been the best defense pair on both ends of the ice for the Sharks, in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, Erik Karlsson really stepping up to the plate and really having a good showing, so that's good to see. But unfortunately, the Sharks kind of give up that momentum swing again with Sean Karlsson getting his fourth of the year. He had been
Was this the Starfish?
This was the Starfish, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why. Like, it's just one of those things where it's almost comical at this point, except for in this situation, it was a big momentum swing.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. So how often does the Starfish has the Starfish ever worked for Brent Burns? I feel like it's a very low percentage of successful plays.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, Ian, I don't understand why he didn't. If he's gonna Starfish, why doesn't he Starfish more into the player? Like, he just completely takes himself right out of the lane. Like, I understand going down, and I understand going down in front of the person that you want to block that shot at, but he goes down and completely slides out of frame.
He took himself out of the play. Super frustrating, something that we've seen a billion times from Burns, and we can complain about it all we want, but it's not the last Starfish we'll ever see Brent Burns do, and it won't be the last time it causes a goal to go in the back of the net.
Oh, well, I mean, Brent Burns giveth, and then Brent Burns taketh, and then he giveth. He comes out with his second goal on the season, and this is what we like to see Burnsy doing. A just quick thunk shot, and it's comical because Merzlikins gets the initial arm kind of save into it, and then it just trickles in because of how much oomph that shot had on it. And it's good to see Burnsy shooting the puck. Nieto and Meyer with the assist.
Yeah, it was good. Again, like, there are some positives you can take from tonight, right? Like, guys getting points that desperately needed points. Again, this team offense isn't going to come easy for this team. So the guys that can do it need to do it somewhat regularly. So hopefully this is, even though they lost the game tonight, hopefully with Hertl and Burns, are getting on the score sheet, hopefully that's a sign of things to come and, not a blip in the radar.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, though, the Sharks would again succumb to giving up the lead, and they allow the Blue Jackets to tie it up. And this one was again, another broken play. You've got a play that this one I think was on Ferraro, and I tell you why. He puts that shot directly into the feet of the opposing defenseman on the or actually the forward on the in the defensive zone.
The Sillinger goal.
Yeah, the Sillinger goal. And Sillinger, I mean, give him credit for making a good block, but it's like, could you put it any more into his skates? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. As much as I didn't like this, I think it was I'm going to say it was a better play by Sillinger than it was a mistake by Ferraro.
Right. And, looking at the goaltender on that one, I mean, that's blocker side. It's low. It's going to be one of those difficult kinds of saves. I mean, you'd love to see Hill maybe kind of come out a little bit more, especially because, Ferraro is, he really did do a good job of taking that pass away. That he was just giving him a shooter. Yeah.
And that's the theme. Like, that's kind of the theme of, I think if you go back on my Twitter feed with a lot of Adin Hill's goals, I think that was kind of the theme of a lot of what I was talking about, was like, for a guy as big as he is, he really plays deep in the crease.
Right.
And and maybe it's something they're working on, because I think that he probably earlier on, I think he wandered a little too much, and they're probably trying to get him to stay closer to home. But I just feel like,
but he looked good.
Skates out an extra inch, you cut the angle down that much more.
Yeah.
And then you have to make a less move less. You have to move less to try and make a save.
Yeah, and I wonder.
I really like the Sillinger shot. I think it was a really good shot. And I don't know if he comes out and challenges that a little more, if he still makes that save. He might not. Right. Like, I'm not saying it's a guaranteed save if he comes out more, but as the game went on, like, for a guy who's 6'6" in Adin Hill.
Right.
got really, really small as the game went on. And
Right.
partially that was because he was playing way too deep in his crease, in my opinion, anyway. I mean, what
Yeah.
do I know?
Yeah, no, it's just interesting because he looked like he was really fronting shots well in that New York game, and I think maybe the Sharks gave up some more transitional type of opportunities, and I think maybe that's kind of one of Adin Hill's kind of weaknesses is those transitional type plays, because it seems like when he gets set up, in his net and they've got, some press plays going on, and he's able to, I guess, maybe get down a little bit more quickly because the puck's kind of in and around the net. He seems a little bit stronger that way. And he seems like he kind of gets victimized on those 2-on-1s quite a bit. So I'm wondering if it might be some small adjustments that he needs to make. Maybe it's coming a foot or two a little bit further out.
Yeah, I think, and again, like Adin Hill's not a finished product.
Right.
And I think that's important to keep in mind. Like this, he's not a finished product, but I still think that doesn't make this loss any easier to swallow. And it doesn't make me feel any better about the role he played in it.
Right.
And again, he wasn't alone. Don't get me wrong. We're going to get there, but he wasn't alone.
Right. And so then, the Sharks go into the final intermission and they've got it tied up. You thought, okay, you know what? The Sharks have been playing the better of the two teams up to this point, but they're tied. You're giving yourself a chance to win this game. And then in the third period, I mean, I don't know if it was a matter of Columbus coming out and really dictating play, or if it was just the fatigue factor really starting to kick in. What?
Nope. I don't want to hear about fatigue.
No.
This is a team that played last night. Yeah, it's the end of a road trip, but Crimea River, this team played last night.
Right.
And you dominated play. You controlled play for 2 periods. There's no excuse for the way the Sharks played the third. I don't want to hear about tired because it's the end of a long road trip. Blah, 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 blah. Columbus played last night. You didn't. You had more rest than they did. Everyone's played a bajillion games at this point. Crimea River about your fucking sore legs at the end of a road trip.
Yeah, so I think where Ian is picking up on this one, and I think we're kind of all in agreement here. This is just one player from the Columbus Blue Jackets out skating 3 Sharks. I mean, I'm watching this play and review right now, and you've got Matt Nieto in the neutral zone, kind of just gliding his way back to the bench. You've got Nick Bonino, who's on the wrong side of the skater. You've got the defensemen both out on the wrong side of the puck. And to me, Ian, this is just sloppy defensive alignment. Like, this was guys not tracking back well. And
yeah, it was a sloppy period. Like, there's just so many. It's a comedy of errors at this point.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best way to describe the third period, a comedy of errors.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you see Roslovic kind of come in on the wing. He's unopposed. Then he just kind of pulls the puck behind him, and Adin Hill makes the commit because you got to. We'd like to see Adin Hill maybe go for the poke.
The commit with the the commit without the poke check.
Yeah.
I still think it was a hell of a move. Like, I really like Roslovic, and I think that was a hell of a move.
Yeah.
But to not even attempt the poke check there, like, that seems to be like goaltending 101 to me.
Right.
Because he's going around
dead to
you
rights,
either way. Right? Yeah, exactly. You're dead to rights, so you might as well throw everything, and including the kitchen sink, at Roslovic at that point, because he's going around you, and he made it way too easy for Roslovic to get around him. And again, I think it was a hell of a move by Roslovic, but it's just, as the game progressed, like, the goals just seemed to get worse and worse.
Right. And I think that this was kind of the harbinger, to come of the third, because
after that goal, I thought they were done.
Yeah. Because 4 minutes later, Boquist again scores, and he gets his 6th on the season. Karlsson and Voracek with the assists there, and this is just one that Hill's got to have.
Yeah, and again, not challenging the shooter enough, I think, in my opinion.
I mean, I'm just looking at this. The guys are coming in 3-on-2. Logan's got to do a better job of getting that puck to the net.
Oh, Logan Couture had a brutal game tonight.
And then you've just got Erik Karlsson and Middleton not really tracking the two forwards very well. They do a switch off, but they don't complete the switch off. And by not, completing the switch between, who they're going to cover on the shot, you're leaving a guy on the far side post completely open. Adin Hill's got to move left to right. I also think, though, that Adin didn't square up quite quick enough on that. And I think it's a like you said, a comedy of errors where
it is,
where the defensive mistake is compounded by, the goaltender inefficiency. And
this was last year's Sharks.
Yeah.
Like this is last year's Sharks. Different goalie, but same result. Because this is the kind of game that they would lose last year.
Yeah.
That would have us on here ranting like crazy. This is the kind of game where, we're goaltending, you get better goaltending and you probably come out ahead. You scored 4 goals in a game after you've had trouble scoring more than 2 in any given game, right?
Right.
So you get the goals tonight, but then you can't keep them out of your own net. And this was last year's Sharks in a fucking nutshell.
Well, as we had mentioned a little bit earlier, Tomas Hertl, gets off the schneid, getting a goal, his 9th on the season. Dahlin and Meyer with the assists after, like we had said, just a very, very poor effort from Logan tonight. I mean, I don't know if it was poor or if it was just not enough gas, but
I don't know. Again, I don't want to hear about
brutal.
Not enough gas, but I don't think he had a good game. And look, everyone's gonna have bad games. Like, I'm not gonna be like, get this bum off the team, blah blah blah. Couture had a bad game. If he has a bunch of bad games, then I'll be ready to jump on Couture. I don't think he had a good night. I thought that he deserved to have his toys taken away from him and given to Hertl.
And Hertl did more with it.
And Hertl did more with his toys. So, yeah, I mean, not a good game for him. Is it anything more than a bad game for Couture? We'll see going forward, I guess. But I don't know. I don't want to say it I don't want to say anything too negative with Couture, because I think Couture's been pretty good this year.
But it was a rough game from him. I mean,
it was it was a brutal game, and I'm sure something that hopefully doesn't carry forward.
Yeah. And so that kind of gave us a little bit of hope, but the Sharks pulled a goaltender, and I don't know, Ian, it's just another thing. We just have not had very much success with the extra man and, getting the game tied up and, kind of a really poor effort there by Erik Karlsson with the puck. It just kind of slips off his stick once again, and you got 2, Columbus Blue Jackets coming in on the zone, empty net, they're able to just get a really, just a tap in, just able to slide it
in. I mean, the fact that the Sharks, by this point, the wheels had fallen all the way off. They get the goal called back.
Yep.
That goes in their favor.
Yep.
Doesn't do anything to change the momentum of the game. It was done. I mean, and at this point, like I said, the wheels had completely fallen off for this team. And I think if you look back overall, you probably have to be pretty happy overall with the road trip. But this game should leave a really bad taste in all their mouths. This is not a game that they can't finish. I don't care how long your road trip is. You can't finish like this. There was 2 points on the board here that I think the Sharks should have had based on how they played the first two periods. And, unfortunately, after a couple of really good games for Adin Hill, you get
a stinker. You get a little bit of a stinker.
He had a bad game, and and it costed the team. And it wasn't all on Adin Hill.
I
don't come and say that this game was completely on Adin Hill. It wasn't.
No.
But it's a lot on Adin Hill.
Yeah, I would definitely say that he's probably got a good 30 to 40% in my book of the blame on this one. I think also I put a little bit of blame on Logan tonight. Brutal in the face-off circle. The Sharks end up losing 49-51 on the face-off percentage, but it was worse.
I think that as the game went on, the wheels completely fell off
Right.
the truck, right? And then everything kind of just went Columbus's way. And I think they were doing pretty well in the face-off dot before that, but I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, so the Sharks end up with 34 shots on goal, Columbus with 30. The Blue Jackets go 0 for 1 on the power play. Sharks were not given a power play tonight. You've got 10 hits to 25 in favor of the Blue Jackets, 16 blocks.
Yeah, because again, you know what? You know when you hit a lot of people, you know when you throw a lot of hits in a game when you don't have the puck.
Yeah.
And for a long time, Columbus didn't have the puck. The Sharks did a really good job, and that is what is so frustrating about this game is the Sharks played such a good game for 2 periods before
they imploded.
Their goalie, well, they imploded, and and it's hard to keep going when everything that goes at your net finds the back of it.
Right. Well, I mean, I think also too, it was just unfortunate that we didn't get to see Reimer in net, and hopefully whatever he's got, it isn't.
Yeah, whatever is ailing Reimer, hopefully that gets better soon.
Yeah.
Because again, Adin Hill's not a finished product. Like, there's gonna be, I think as Adin Hill tries to find his way as an NHL goalie, there's gonna be games like this. They're gonna happen.
Yeah.
But the Sharks moved a lot of assets to bring Adin Hill in.
Yep.
To potentially be the guy. Now, thankfully, it's a 2-year deal. If Adin Hill doesn't work out, they can go on to the next plan, right? It's not like Martin Jones will resign for the next 6 years.
Right.
So I think that's positive. And look, they had to do something. They had to do something.
Well,
right?
and Ian, I mean, let's not also count out the fact that he played back to back. I mean, he's played, he played 3 out of 4, and this is a guy who played fantastic in those first 2 games.
Those first 2 games, fantastic. Not flawless by any stretch, but really, really well. And I think,
and I think the positioning.
Yeah, Steve in the chat. If Hill goes in against Calgary and plays like that, oh my God, it's going to be a long night. And that's the concern going forward now, right? Because now your games are going to get division heavy. And now we're going to see what this team is, because I don't know what this team is still. We're quarter way through the season. I still don't know what this team is.
Right.
But these divisional games, they're going to tell us.
Yeah. And I think we're kind of looking at it right now as, the Sharks are sitting with 25 games played with 27 points. They are 1 point ahead of Vegas, but Vegas has got 2 games in hand. You've also got Los Angeles with 3 games in hand. They've got 22 points. So, those are 2 teams that are still kind of hovering around there. You've got, an Anaheim team that is still playing very decently. And then you've got
really good.
You've got Calgary coming in, their next game, and they're just a steamroller right now.
Yeah, I mean, that Calgary game, I'm not super excited to see how that one goes down for the Sharks. I'm not going to lie.
But the Sharks have played Calgary pretty tough this year. I will say that. And
have we played the Flames this year?
I could have sworn that they were the only division opponent that we played, right?
Oh God, I forget. It's been such a Calgary. I mean, Calgary. It's going to be an interesting thing, right? Calgary, super turned around. The games that I'm interested, I mean, it's going to be interesting, right? Because Vancouver, it looks like they're making wholesale changes there. I don't know what the final reports are. I know it sounds like Bruce Boudreau's coming into Vancouver, so I don't know if that's going to be enough to turn their season around. But of course, I would have liked to have a few more games against Vancouver before that happened. The games that I'm interested to see, though, the California games, those are the ones that I'm interested in, because I think those are the ones where we're going to really see what the Sharks are. Because I don't think the Sharks in a season series with the Golden Knights, I don't think they're going to come out of that series good. I see
maybe
going to have a hard time against Calgary. They're probably going to have a hard time against Edmonton, right? Those are top tier teams in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, but Vegas,
up and coming teams like LA, Anaheim, I want to see how they measure up.
Vegas, I think, to me, is still a team that's trying to figure it out, and I think that they're going to be
yes, we did.
I think they're going to be an interesting I think that it's going to definitely be an interesting type of series between the two, because it seems like it's both of these teams that haven't really established a footing yet. And
Yeah.
like you said, the Sharks are really competing with the Ducks, and Los Angeles, it's looking like, that those two teams are not going to go away anytime soon. And
Yeah, and I think that'll just tell me, like, not even like just for division, like for how they'll finish in the division. I think like when I look at the teams in the Pacific, like obviously again, there's teams that are up on top, right? And they're very good. And the Sharks are somewhere in the middle, obviously in the middle of the pack in the league. But are they the upper middle, the lower middle, or are we just haven't, after a season series, maybe they're not even hanging, and then we'll see.
But I mean, let's
What this team is.
think about it this way though. St. Louis, right? They're second in their division. They have 28 points, and you look at the Sharks, and we have 27 points. I mean, the Pacific Division, I think, is coming out as being the stronger of the two in the Western Conference at the moment. Look at the top three. I mean, you've got 35 points in Minnesota, because Minnesota's doing quite well. St. Louis, though, with 28, and Nashville with 27. And then you look over in the Pacific, the top three teams all have above 30 points.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I didn't expect that.
Right.
So far.
Right. And then the Sharks are still kind of treading water. So I think.
Yeah, they're treading water, but like all their games, when you're not playing against the division, though, you're not giving up points to teams that you can't give up points to, right? Like this game sucks to give up points to Columbus, but it's Columbus. Who cares?
Right.
That's not going to hurt you in a playoff race. Losing 2 points to Columbus, like, yeah, you want those 2 points, but you didn't hand them to an LA or an Anaheim or a Seattle or whoever, right? And I think that's why the division games, like, I'm really excited to get into that, because that's when we're going to start seeing, like, yeah, okay, the Sharks have done really well, but when they start playing heavily in their division, which division is where most of your games are played, how many points are you going to give away to a division rival?
Yeah.
That's when every point matters. That's when you don't want 3-point games, and you don't want to just have a game like this where you just give away 2 points. Because those are the games that'll come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
If this happens in the division, I mean, this might come back and haunt them regardless, but if this was a divisional game, then that already comes back and haunts you right away.
Right. And I think, you're also looking at, I think you're also looking, though, at a team that has played, well, I mean, their record says they're above 500, right? So they're 540, and I think that it's a team that has played to the competition.
They've played really well. I think, I'm not trying to take anything away from what the Sharks have done.
I'm just saying is they've set themselves up. They haven't put themselves behind the 8 ball like they did last year. Right.
For sure. No, I agree with that 100%.
Right. And I think that for me, through the first quarter of the season, that's what I wanted to see. I said, if the Sharks are going to contend for a playoff spot, they have to at least be able to get out of that first quarter of the season without, having the wheels completely fall off, because I thought this was a very desperate time, considering all of the drama, considering what was going to go on in the offseason, the whole revamp of the goaltending system, and not knowing where, we were going to get anywhere, because, again, we were coming in with two. I mean, we had Reimer, who has been a pretty good safety blanket, but, really not asked to carry an entire load himself since playing with the Panthers. So, for me, I still had some questions on, okay, where is he going to, what version of Reimer are we going to get? But to tell you through 22 games that the team is above 500, they've basically kind of set themselves up for divisional play in a good position.
They've set themselves up. I agree. Like, they're in a good position going into this, like going into the heavier divisional schedule. Now they've definitely set them up.
Right.
But
now it's
the setup's only going to be right. But now you have to, right. The setup is only as good as the follow through. If they, the setup could be great, but if they don't follow through with a lot of points taken from their divisional rivals, then it's all for naught.
Well, I think we're gonna start calling this a show, everybody. It's gonna be a kind of a quick one because we got pucknologists coming up pretty soon. Ian, I just quickly wanted to get your take on the Vancouver hiring and firing there, and Bruce Boudreau coming in with Travis Green heading out. You think we're going to see the dead cat bounce here, or is Vancouver still in the tailspin?
I'm not. I want to see what's because the team hasn't. Has the team announced anything yet? Because the team hasn't announced anything yet. So I'm curious to see if it's just the coach or if it's also Jim Benning on his way out. I mean,
the Aquilinis are not patient people.
No, but saying that they've been incredibly patient with Benning. So yeah. it's interesting to me. Like, is this a situation where has Jim Benning fired his this is what I don't know. Has Jim Benning fired his last coach, or is he not the one hiring the coach?
Ooh, that's a good point.
See, I'm kind of curious to see where we go from there, right? I don't know. I mean, this team, this is one of those teams where I think by the end of the season, they might be able to turn it around somewhat, but because they added so many pieces, like I know Jerk was really high on the Canucks going into the season, and I was like, I don't know what to make of them. Because they've made so many changes.
Right. I think you had to look at Elias Pettersson's season this year, and Hughes and Besser, and think, man, there's so much more juice in that orange to squeeze, like they just don't look right. They don't look right. And something, I don't know if I haven't
watched a lot of their games yet. And I was kind of looking forward, because I know we play them a couple times at the end of the month. I don't know. I haven't really watched them because, again, they're not really must-see TV other than the fact that they're a train wreck. But I watched a train wreck all last year. I'm not going to willingly watch another one.
Right. And
right.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I thought, at least from previous seasons, we had started to see a little bit of an ascension, and we saw the team kind of respond pretty good to Travis Green, and they were making a fight for it last year. And this team, I think, again, it just has coming out so flat. And it's such an opposite from the good mojo that they had ending that season last year. So,
yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I wish I had some better insight on Vancouver, other than it's just been a train wreck forever.
Birch, Vancouver should have rehired John Tortorella.
I mean, Bruce Boudreau is an interesting an interesting choice for sure. Players coach, so I don't know. And that's what I wonder, right? Because Bruce Boudreau is kind of a players guy. I wonder if if a Tortorella would have been, not saying Tortorella specifically, but if that kind of player might have been the guy you want to come in, right? Like look at Calgary, right? You bring in Daryl Sutter. It didn't work out right away last year, but it's paying dividends now, right? And the problem with Daryl Sutter, of course, is in a couple of seasons, it's all going to fall off the rails because the player is going to be sick of him. But he can come in and get instant results. And I just wonder if that's the kind of guy they'd want to go for instead of a guy like Bruce Boudreau. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I had said, going to be pretty quick. So in case you have missed us or you want to hear us again, check us out across all of the podcasting platforms. That's Apple Podcasts. You've got the Google Play Store. You've got YouTube, SoundCloud. You've got Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, and I can't even, go through all of them because we're just all over the place. Ian, what's your final thoughts on where the people can find you?
Final thoughts. This was last year's Sharks, and I hope this is not a sign of things to come, because I think this team has been much more enjoyable to watch this year. This game sucks, but let's not get crazy. Mostly everything we want for the Sharks has been good. Maybe not great, but good. And I want to go back to good Sharks.
Yeah,
that's all I want.
We want good Sharks.
Right. I want good Sharks, not last year's Sharks. That's it. The other thing is you can find me at Ian Blogs Hockey on the Twitter machine. Also, we have given you all our opinions of this game. If you are watching this either live or even later on, Leave us a comment down below and let's hear your comments on the game.
Yeah, the comments really help us out. And as far as my final thoughts go on this one, look, you come out of the road trip 3-2. That's a good road trip. Not great because you got that kind of sour feeling coming home. But I think if you get a good win against Calgary and you put a good effort in and you get Reimer kind of back in the net and doing a solid job back there, I think you're going to have a team that's going to show some people that, hey, they can make some hay. But again, It's all going to come down to those divisional games like we had said. And this is the time for the Sharks to make their mark. So we'll see how exactly they do that. And for me, you can find me at Erik Landi, ErikLandi on all the social media garbage. Thank you, everybody, and stay tuned.
Stay tuned
for the pucknologists. They've got some thoughts on things. We hear. So keep it real, keep it teal, and keep it real, Teal. Thanks, everybody, and have a good one.